See, you give it just enough with that white or any light colors that you might put in or light feeling. That's enough. You don't have to go too far because all you want this to say is that eventually they drive up that way, but this is not related to it. Now this is similar. This I'm going to try and do a little bit quicker. But we already have the colors mixed. So we're going to go for the dark one. Remember, the dark first.
Yep.
The clumps. Well, we changed the ground. We went over the ground. We don't have to do that here. Because this already is, I did that when I was relating the other. So now we're going to come out of this corner. Again, I'm trying to relate the corner to the painting. So this corner I'm going to make kind of dark. Keep your corners in your paintings always different. Try to keep your corners different. You know, everything different. So again, we're using the brush the same way, but we're just making some grass in this corner. Okay? And we're getting the clumps. We're getting some nice clumps. And we don't want this particular corner to stand out necessarily. So again, there's no shadow here or anything, but we just don't want it to stand out. And so we have some that is longer pieces of grass and some that are shorter. See? It has to relate to what I have here. See? But it's disappearing away, going away. See?
Yeah.
All right, so that's good. And we get, remember the other one was like a medium tone. See? So we want our medium tone. And I'm pulling other colors from here because we're trying to create the medium tone. In other words, halfway between the lightest and the darkest to kind of, because that part is there too. I don't want it too dark. And then we go to all the light stuff. So this is probably sienna. Is this ochre? Or I think it's raw sienna. Okay, so let's kind of drag it around. And when you're doing something like this, when you're trying to relate those things to one another, you know, making it all, you know, we're using a lot of different colors and a lot of different feelings in different areas, but you want this to relate to the all. So you're going to use some colors that are going to become really obvious that you used it. So that it, when your eye gets over here, it doesn't say, oh, what happened over there? You don't want that. We want the corner darker, but we don't want it to be so out of touch with everything else that it doesn't work. It has to still play. All right. to the dark because it kind of darkened a little too much. So we want to go back in there a little bit and get some of that back in there, just a little bit. There might have been a little bit too much. This can be a little coarser than some of that other stuff. Because it's got to relate to the long grass on a lawn. I mean, and some of the way I have that. And it really doesn't start working until you put the lighter things in. When you start putting the lightest, that's when it all starts to kind of gel. You know, when you get some of the light stuff. Not too much. A little bit. Maybe some flowers grew over here or something. That's another thing. You can relate flowers to it. Okay. And again, you get the brush just wet, damp. And you can come back in places where you're not that happy and just push it around. Kind of pick up stuff, make stuff disappear so that it'll all work. So I would say that that corner now works.
Yeah.
Because we don't want a strong corner as far as color. We want it to disappear. So see, you're making this color go disappear into maybe a shadow of something else. Something standing here, a tractor, or I don't know what. And it's standing over this kind of color. All right. So we got the stone. We have the grass. Now we're going to go up. And I just want to talk a little bit about, because we're not going to labor on it, but just talk a little bit about, before I start to finalize everything, the making the wood stand out by itself without having to make all of them dark. So say some of the edges are lighter. So we'll take some of the paint. Again, this is the more translucent one. Okay. And we'll run it up along the edge of one of these boards. Okay. It's an old board, and it has an old edge. So we're going to make this go all the way up. So it's one way of making one board stand out from another one without doing all of this.
Yeah.
But you can still come back and do some of this along this board. Now you're going to notice when that dries that not all of it is, and you don't have to do every section of the board. It can just be one part. You want it all to look like it's all part of the same painting without making it without going overboard. So see, now you don't have to do every board. I did it down here too on some of these. And I'll do it like here on this one. So I'll just put an edge. See it? Just a little bit. And so you have, and anything basically you do on something like this, it all seems to just keep on working. The more you do, the more it works. Because it's an old antique barn. And we'll even put some here. Just so that the eye of the viewer, somebody looking at the painting, will still be able to say, oh, this is all one. See? So yeah. We just put a few marks over here so that it looks like the same building. All right. Then, if you say, well, now look what happened. It got kind of not as dark as light as that. So that's when you go over to the other one, say, and you want to the gouache white that comes out of the tube, the more opaque white, and you could go into that in places, more on the edge. You can just accent things. Maybe an accent here and there. And that, eventually that dries down and it's not as a big white dot. The eye starts to mix all of this stuff. Okay. Now we have some birds flying in the sky out there, and we're going to put them in. They're not on the study piece, but we're going to throw these little crows in there. There's some crows flying out there. I think they flew off of a Wyeth painting, and they came over to visit this one. So let's get those same crows. And I got them sketched in here a little bit. We don't want them too dark, but we don't want them too light either. Because remember, they are not they're not way out over this, even though they're out over this background, they're over this part of it. They're not way over that.
Okay.
They're over here, see, so they should have, their color should be a little more definite. So we're going to put those little guys in there. So that's that one. And then there's one that's going like this. He's kind of got his wings up. Let's get that a little higher because, you know why? Because I got his back end kind of fat.
I see.
And then there's another guy down here, and he's kind of flying kind of like this. And he's a little further away. But he's looking for a place. So he's saying, I got to get down soon. I got to get something to eat. So that's him. So there they are. I'll make him just a little bit bigger. Okay, so there they are. They came off this field. Now we'll say, well, this guy looked like he was overeating on corn, so we're going to skinny him up a bit. He might be a little too fat. And let's make a difference on the wing. And let's shorten up one wing on this guy. He'd fit better. So you might say to yourself, looks like 3 airplanes flying out there. But anyway, that's really what they are. And if you were to put in your own painting, if you had maybe some coming up off the ground. You know, maybe a couple here and another one here right in. That would make them look like they're coming up off the ground, because crows do that. They jump from one place to another eating like that. Okay, so we have a few crows there. Now, this is the last thing. Here we go. And everybody is right at this point saying, we can't wait. Will you please get to that last thing? Well, we're going to get to it.
I think if they've made it this far, they're pretty committed to it.
That's right. So now, yeah, if you're still listening or watching, then you're our friend. So here we go. Now we're going to get this color, and we're mixing a little bit of a shadow to put on this door. And let's hope I can come up with a decent shadow. So here we go. You know what? You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add red to it.
Uh-oh.
That's like that. That sounds like that commercial. Uh-oh. Where the guy built the pyramid. It's supposed to be. He looks and it's square.
Yeah, it
And he
happens.
goes, uh-oh. I made a mistake. Where's that red? Oh, you better stop.
All right.